Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Welcome back to Connect with Jonathan Mark. We are welcoming back Nichole Schmidt, a friend of the show. She's been on quite a few times, and every time there's always such great conversation. We talk a lot off camera or off podcast, whatever you really want to call it, and we are really good friends. And I kind of figured, I'm like, wait a minute, why don't we bring the conversation on here? Because what I'm asking, I'm sure a lot of people want to know too. So I want you to stay tuned for some more insight about the show on Netflix. I want you to stay tuned for the response of it, how she's been dealing with it. It's really, really interesting. And you're going to get a real inside look about how we talk, about how our conversations go, and really the behind the scenes of like what it's like to have a hit show on Netflix about something tragic. So guys, sit back, relax, and listen to the show. So much has happened since the last time you came on, and I just wanted to go over everything because I'm curious. And, you know, how has it been since the doc came out? Like, how is everything? It must be a whirlwind, honestly, because it was #1 for a very long time. So how has that been? Has your world changed? I want to hear all about it.
It was crazy. So I wasn't expecting it to be, I knew it was going to be big, but not, it broke some records as far as how long it was stayed in the #1 spot as a documentary. So we were excited about that. And it was crazy for like the first couple of weeks. We had, you know, every media outlet reaching out to us. I mean, everybody wanted to hear from us about, you know, why we made the doc, why it was important to us, if we liked it or not. So yeah, we just kind of went through the motions. It felt like we were reliving everything over again, so it was a little bit hard. But we got through it, and we interviewed with very specific people, a lot of people that we already knew, and it's come. So I feel much better now. I was happy with it. I think they made Gabby look beautiful. I think they portrayed her in a very good light, and it was a good documentary. I mean, I'm a documentary watcher, so I thought it was done very well. I would have liked a lot more information being behind the scenes. I would have liked a lot more information out there, but they only had a certain amount of time to work with, so I knew it was hard for them to fit as much in as possible.
Yeah, because I'm starting to learn a little bit about the documentary space, about like behind the scenes, and they want, and I'm sure you can attest to this because you've been through this. It's kind of like they want so much footage and they want every second of everything, right? And you're giving them so much, and then only not a small piece, but like relatively speaking, it is kind of a small piece for like, let's say 4 or 6 episodes of something, and you gave them like hundreds of hours of footage and they only use 4 or 5 hours. And I wanted to ask you because, you know, talking to people that have done docus like you, they said the same thing. There's so much extra footage that they kind of wish was maybe not everything, but small pieces put in, or, you know, to really complete maybe a certain like story or to give more context to a certain story. And I wanted to know, when you looked back at it, was there some pieces that you wish, it doesn't have to be like an hour. It could literally be like you know how it is. You can film for 3 hours and they condense it to 4 minutes, and it kind of covers exactly what you need in that 4 minutes. So it's kind of like, when you looked back, did you wish there were certain pieces for context and like validity purposes, or like extra things so people can see more of like a fuller story?
Yeah, no, you're right. When they interviewed us, we sat for 8 hours. We interviewed for 8 hours, and that was just me and Jim. They interviewed Joe and Tara for the same amount of time, so they had a lot of interview time. They did a lot of B-roll. You know, they were filming us. They came to my house. They filmed me kind of in my kitchen and just normal stuff, and then us walking outside with the kids. And I think that little piece of seeing us as normal people, like walking down the street with our kids, my son on his skateboard, you know, would have given us a little bit more connection to other people. Like they said, oh, look, they're just normal people that live in a normal neighborhood. And, you know, they kind of, I feel like they missed that a little bit, but I don't even remember what we said in the interview. There was probably so much that I think a lot of the things that I said that were angry, they kept out. I think they wanted to keep it more about Gabby and not so much about my anger towards what happened or the family. And, you know, fast forward a couple months, I was just on the Squeeze podcast, and I just had like a moment where I was like, I'm just going to like say what I want to say right now because I don't get to do that. Yeah.
I saw it. You know, what's funny is so many people sent me that clip. Like I got, because people know we're friends and everything, and like the background and stuff. And they were asking me questions about it. And I just didn't answer because I felt like it was not my place to answer anything. Like it was just not my place. And I wanted to protect you and protect pretty much anyone that's involved in that. But I did see that. I did see that.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you that really was one of my questions is like, you do believe that the Laundries had something to do with Brian's passing?
It's my personal opinion.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the way that I'm a parent, so I know how a parent behaves, and it just doesn't look right to me. I just feel like they either encouraged or had something to do with, yes, and it's my opinion on that.
Yeah, because when I was talking to some of the police when I was doing this case, like years back, one of the things I did mention to them was I felt that they were helping him out, whether it was with doing that or just in general speaking, right? Like in general speaking of like, the police are coming here, go here. The police are going here, move here. Like there was a way like for them to kind of navigate, because realistically, and I'm sure a lot of people can feel this too, just like I'm sure you do and I do, it's pretty wild that it took a pretty long time to find him when it was a worldwide search, kind of. Like people that weren't even law enforcement were looking for him. Like it was like a huge, huge thing. It was a manhunt essentially. So from my opinion, if I'm talking to some of the police, like I said, like I was like, there has to be something, whether it's them or someone else. I don't really know, but it was kind of crazy that it took that long. But I did see that clip and everyone was sending it to me, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, I get your frustration, because it really is a frustrating thing. And especially I wanted to ask you this because people, my God, have been commenting this all over my stuff. Like, I'm like, I texted you this. I was like, what is going on right now? Like, they think Brian's still alive. There's like a whole thing that he's like still alive. I don't even engage with it really, because like, I just don't answer. I either delete it or I just... And
you're the person that would know. Is that why they're texting you? Because they're like, tell us if he's alive.
Kind of. And I was just like, it's like, I feel like, you know, I feel like things would be very different if he was alive, obviously, right? Like things would be a lot different.
Yeah.
I think his parents would move around also differently, just from like not even being a medium, just being a basic human and just like looking how people kind of navigate certain things. I'm wondering, do you get that a lot? Like, have you seen that? Like the conspiracies of that? Because it's been like flooding my stuff for like when the documentary came out, it was just flooding my stuff. Like that was a huge thing.
I don't think the people on TikTok, like the TikTokers are the biggest ones that I see. And you know, it comes up on my feed. I guess it's part of my algorithm just because of who I am. And
exactly.
Yeah, I see it. I watch them because I'm like interested. I'm curious. What are their theories? Why are they saying this? Why do they believe this? And I've come up with the conclusion that a lot of them just want people to watch their videos and click, you know, and follow them. And it's just really for
like
just to get out there. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's their true belief. I really don't.
It's kind of crazy because a lot of them, like I said, I really don't acknowledge it. Like there's really no point to. I was just wondering if that was like going all through your stuff? Because I watch you go live a lot, and I will say there's way more supporters than anything. There's like way more supporters. So I just want people to know that. Like, I don't want people to think like it's all like conspiracy theorists or people just trying to depict something that's not there or kind of like rip apart something that's not there. You know, you have way more supporters. And I wanted to ask you too, like while you were going through this wave, I'm assuming of press and people reaching out to you, and I'm sure you probably had the most amount of people texting you, reaching out, being like, this was amazing, this was great. How did you decompress from that? Because people always ask me with like readings, how do I decompress? Now I want to ask you, how did you decompress from, because it's heavy, like you said, you are kind of reliving what happened because they're sharing the story all over again. Like that's what they're doing. So it has to be tough and it has to be mentally draining. So what did you guys do to like kind of, clear your head?
Self-care. I take the time out now more than ever before to not go on my phone and not look at those things. And I'll, do something with my kids. I'll take them somewhere. We'll have some kind of family time together, or I'll go get a facial or something, like
anything.
Self-care.
Yeah. Like literally anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to get away from all of it, even if it's for an hour. And sometimes I want to lay in my bed for the day and I'll just watch like a series on, Apple TV or Netflix or something. And I'll just not pay attention to anything else that's going on. So, yeah.
How's the true crime community? Because I know those people, they're so amazing in the sense where you bring a case to them that's maybe not as public or maybe doesn't have all this press, and they kind of connect the dots to things to help like local law enforcement in that area. How has that community been? Because I have to tell you, with my experience with doing all these cases with like real law enforcement, real families, and like real situations, I guess, I've learned that I have to be very careful, like just very, very careful. And I have to learn, not that I have to learn, I guess I learned while doing it kind of by trial and error, I guess is the best way, that when people come on, their emotions are so high because now it's a time for them to say what they want to say on a platform or just in general. It could be anything. And a lot of the law enforcement will reach out and be like, you got to take that part out. That's an opinion. That's not a fact. Like, that's not like, that's not going to help the case. So I see like both ends of the positive and the negative with it. So I wanted to know, and I'm sure you've had such great probably people that have been like in your corner throughout this, in that community. What are some of those people? And I'm wondering if they're the same people I may know.
There's good and bad people, of course. Yeah. And we've worked with quite a few great ones.
Like, have they been advocates for you? Have they really like been like a shoulder to lean on? Yeah,
there's some good ones. There's good podcasters, YouTubers, and TikTokers. Like there's really some good people out there who are trying to help and spread the word on cases. And we are very careful about making sure they're ethical, right? Like they have to be, are they talking to the family? Are they getting this information directly? Are they being respectful of the family's privacy? Is the family okay with everything they're doing? As long as they're working together, that's a big deal. A lot of times, true crime reporters will just, they'll hear the news story and then they'll kind of repeat that in their own way. And half the time it's like false information. So many people reporting through the whole Gabby thing were just saying the most random things. And I was always like, that's not true. So,
and I'm sure you want to just be like, guys, like that is not true. Like, hello, like what are you saying?
Yeah.
And that's literally why, like when I do this like podcast and stuff, I only will like speak to family or someone who's like a wife or husband, someone that was like directly close to that person, and law enforcement has to be involved. Like, because I'm sure you know too, like sometimes families, and I get it, they go rogue. Like they just want to get something, so they don't really care how they go about it because
they're desperate.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that a lot of the times when they come on, that they just need something, like something. It could be anything, something. So I do find it interesting because I do watch other people when it comes to true crime or just regular podcasts where they talk about cases, but they're talking about it from like a third party kind of, like they're talking about like reading headlines, reading documents instead of like speaking to like the person that's like you were saying, directly involved.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Vacations will never be the same. Welcome to the theme parks of Universal Orlando Resort. With spectacular hotels and more, Universal Orlando offers an entire week of vacation awesome. Visit universalorlando.com.
How frustrating is it though when like someone's talking about like, let's say Gabby, or just like any case that you're working on, because I know you work with other families too, and they're saying things and you're just sitting there like, what the heck are you talking about? Like you're missing a huge part of a story. Like you're hitting one part, but you're neglecting like 60% of something. Because I see that a lot with the cases I work on. And I don't want to say anything because I'm so involved in the case. It's like I can't jump in and be like, well, you're wrong because this person was here at that time and that person was there. And just it doesn't make sense timeline-wise. But how annoying is that? I have to ask you, like, because it annoys me.
It's annoying. We do work directly with quite a few families and, you know, we try to help them through that media process.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see families go rogue, like you said, on, you know, Facebook as accusations and, you know, throwing out suspects and like, you can't do that. But then there's, you know, the people that latch on to those things and those true crime people start reporting on that stuff. And people are just so mean to families. It drives me nuts. If there's like a missing kid and they're labeled a runaway, and then there's all these people out there judging the parents and judging the kid, and it's like, wait a second, let's back up here. Somebody's missing, and a loved one is trying to find them, and that's all that is. So let's help them. Let's not judge them, because how's that going to help? How's that going to help? So it is really frustrating, but there's no time in anybody's day to go and find all those people and tell them what your opinion is on what they're doing. So you just got to let it go, unfortunately, and move on. Unless somebody's being super egregious and like getting a family in trouble or something, like where they're making up things and, you know, somebody has to say something, but for the most part, you just kind of got to move forward and get away from that.
Yeah, because one of the cases, I mean, I work on quite a few, and one of the cases that I've worked on has caught a lot of people's attention on this show, but I'm not going to say the case because I don't want to bring more like attention to it in this regard. But people like will be driving by their homes, driving by where they work, and like, I don't want to say harassing, but kind of similar to that, where they're like, you know, you have like the true crime fans, right? Then those people don't know boundaries sometimes. So they just kind of will show up. And then you have the people that believe something completely opposite, but they feel that they need to take time out of their day to let you know personally that what you think about your own situation is completely wrong without being involved in it. And, you know, my heart breaks for those people because this person, they would reach out to me and be like, I don't want to leave my home. Like, I'm scared to leave my home. And all I want is just justice for the person that they want it for in their life. And it's really tough for me to sit back and not be like, you guys need to like back off. Like, they're just trying to get justice. That's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to stir the pot. They're not trying to do anything. They just want to know. So it's been kind of an interesting thing with this show, trying, you know, because I always tell people, I'm like, when you come on the show, just know there's a bunch of people that listen and it's everywhere. So you don't know how someone's going to be. And
Yeah.
I always try to be upfront with them too. And I tell the police that too when I speak to them. I'm like, just letting you know, like this could happen. And another thing that's happened, which I wanted to ask you, because this is kind of like the positive and negative side with the true crime stuff, is people will send tips to like the law enforcement that I put in the show notes. Sometimes they'll get thousands of tips and they're like, listen, man, like take my email off. Like take my phone number off, because they're sending conspiracy theories. They're not sending like tips. They're like
actual tips.
Yeah, they're sending two different things. Like they're assuming someone did it. So they're going through what they think happened. Have you had that when this situation's going on, or with the families that you're working with? When you have like a tip line or whatever, do you get like inundated with people that it's more so conspiracy than tip, if that makes sense, or more so what they think, putting pieces together without an actual like tip of something?
Yeah, we were lucky enough not to really get that too much. So a couple of the families we work with have had some issues, but I can tell you when Gabby was missing, obviously because it was so well known, that some of the real tips were getting pushed back because they were getting so many conspiracy tips. So like Jen Bethune tried to contact them about the van when she saw the van, and it didn't get through. Like they didn't understand that was a real tip. So she had to post it online. She posted the video online for everybody to see so that they would get the message that this is her van. So people need to just stop doing that to families. If it's a real tip, if you really believe it is, then you should call. But if you just have a theory and you're some random person in another, like, stop. It's just, it's making the case, it's making the detectives not want to, put their phone number out there, and not to be open with the family anymore, because they're gonna get mad at the family thinking that's right. It's their fault. So there's so many, it's hard to work with the law enforcement. That's the biggest challenge with families, is keeping that relationship.
And I'll tell you this too, when I was working on your case, and I told you some of the police I worked with and stuff, they told me specifically, which is funny you brought this up, and I had to tell people, they were basically telling me that with all these videos and all this stuff about Gabby, they were like, it's hurting us because there's thousands and thousands of videos, tips, emails, phone calls. And what you just said, they were saying it's hard to go through what's real and what's not real at times, because they do have a team that kind of swifts through all this stuff. And they were basically telling me that they have like a cyber team that like goes through, but it takes hours. Like they're fact checking because they don't know if it's true or not. It's hard to tell. And especially when someone's online, just for any case, like, and they're so convincing and they're doing maps and this and pointing, the police, I promise you, are looking at it. Like, because they want to solve the case too. Like they don't want it to keep going and going and going. Like they also want to solve it. So when they told me that, it kind of opened my eyes, like, and this is years ago, about like, be very careful with what you post online, because they do look, even if you don't think that they're looking. And I've learned this from other cases too. It really messes up their investigation, like really, really messes it up.
Slows it down.
Slows it down massively. Yeah. It messes up. They sometimes go on these wild goose chases because they believe, because some of the stuff, again, I have to tell you, people are very convincing, where they put maps and timelines and this, and then the police are like, holy shit, like, this could be a place where we can find a DNA or anything to help us piece together a timeline. And they go and they spend 8 hours, 10 hours with search dogs and everything. And they find nothing, like nothing. And they're like, what the hell? Like this person had 17 million views. This person had maps and timeline and names and this. So I always encourage people just to be careful with what you do, because you're affecting not just the family, like you're also affecting the law enforcement that's trying to help that family. Like it's kind of like a twofold. And you are right, because sometimes the law enforcement will be like, I don't really want to tell the family anything until we've already looked into it. Because sometimes families will go online and they say, what's the next step in the investigation? And it messes that up too. Again, this is all just from like working on certain cases and now doing this all the time, working on cases with all different law enforcement, stuff that I've learned. It's very tricky because you have to be so careful. Like you have to be so careful with it. It's nuts.
And we were so lucky because we had a friend of ours who is an attorney, and he kind of guided us through that whole process, because we would have probably been online like going rogue, going
it's hard
crazy.
Not to.
Like, and he was just like, nope. don't say anything. And so we were very lucky to be guided in that direction. So I like to help families through that process. Like, just, this is what you say, this is what you don't say. You're better off saying nothing, especially during an open investigation.
But if you want to say something, this is like what you should.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, because like I do think families want justice, like I said, rightfully so. And they're just like, screw this, I'm going rogue. And they just go. And I think there's a right and wrong way. But what has the Gabby Petito Foundation been doing? Because I've been seeing you guys been doing a lot. So I definitely want everyone to hear, because you guys have been traveling, doing everything. So it's really incredible.
Jim and Joe were just in South Dakota yesterday speaking for the MMIW. This whole week is actually like the Indigenous Awareness Week. And yesterday was Wear Red Day. So they did this whole conference there. And they're heading to LA. The LAPD actually contacted us, and we're like, okay, well, what do you need from us? Like, they invited us in to come speak. So
that's awesome.
They're doing that. And I'm going to me and Tara and Jim are going to the Conference on Crimes Against Women in Texas in a couple weeks. And, we just got back from Colorado. We're all over the place, but it's all good stuff. It's amazing. We're having a fundraiser on Long Island in June 6th. So I hope people can come. Go to our website, gabbypetitofoundation.org. You can get tickets there. You can just come to the dinner. We have raffles and everything. It's going to be fun. And then we have a 5K in September 20th. And the reason we chose the 20th. Yes. Oh, really? Oh, well, Gabby was found on the 19th. Landed on a Friday. So we're doing the run on a Saturday, which is the day after. But we're going to do a virtual run that whole from August 27th, the day she was murdered, through the 20th. So there'll be a virtual and an in-person right in her hometown in Blue Point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's all on our website. It's also on our Facebook page, all our socials. So yeah, hopefully people can come. And it's good to go back home always. I love Long Island. So yeah, we're busy.
I mean, it's all good stuff. And I'm sure when you go to Texas and all these places, you are going to be making such a huge impact, because it's the truth. Like, you guys have been really trying to change lives, and people can see that. And I do think it's amazing, only because sometimes it's really hard when something obviously happens, like so tragic to someone, right? And you get hit at the knees and you fall, and it's hard to stand back up and to try and help. Like, it's just hard to get yourself moving forward again. It just is, even with any death. And I do realize that. And the fact that you're traveling all over, helping, trying to stop and trying to teach tips, I think that's quite amazing. And you guys deserve a lot of credit. And especially the amount of traveling you're doing is nuts. Like,
it's tiring, but we got to go to a high school recently. We got invited to a high school up in New York, which we're excited about.
Oh, nice.
That's where we really want to be. We want to teach the kids, but that's the hardest part.
On Long Island?
Yeah, we're going to be at Hop Hog.
I encourage people that are in the New York area to go there and support, because it really is such a good cause. And it means a lot to me, and it means even more to you and to your entire family. So let's encourage everyone to go. Of course.
Maybe if you want to donate like a raffle, you could just come, as my guest, you and your wife.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll donate a reading, I'll do whatever. Like, whatever you want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, whatever you want, I'll donate a reading. I'll do whatever you need me to do. More than happy to. And I just want to say, like, for you constantly coming on, just thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Taking time out of your day. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
I always enjoy our conversations. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Nichole, thank you so much for coming on. Please help out the Gabby Petito Foundation. Let's all be a part of it. Everything will be in the show notes, links, everything. So go check it out. And guys, please do not forget that I try to help out as many families as I possibly can. So if you have a case that you're affected by, or you just want my insight on, please send an email to connectjonathanmark@gmail.com, or follow my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium and then send me a DM. But the most important thing is, please don't forget to rate and review the show. It really helps out. I'll see you next week.